Two YouTube videos in the same week? What am I, a real YouTuber? If you missed Monday's video, we're going through each conference in the NBA, 9 to 15, those who missed the playoffs, and assessing what they do and do not need this upcoming offseason. I'm recording this video about a week prior to you seeing it, so there are going to be some things that may change, like for instance, in the last video on Monday, I said that the Hornets needed to hire JJ Redick, and before the video had even been published, the Hornets hired a new coach. And with all due respect to the Celtics assistant that got hired, I do think JJ would have been a better pick. But regardless, some things may change. Just keep that in mind. Starting off with the Sacramento Kings, I think that the Kings are one of the only teams in the entire association that need to run it back. It truly was just an unfortunate situation. You can never get healthy at the right time. So this season in particular, you need to be healthy at all costs. The main priority needs to be healthy. Be healthy all year at all costs. I think that if De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis especially had stayed healthy the entire year, we're probably looking at this team as a 6 seed instead of a play-in team. And who knows, this year in particular, I think it would have been hard to make a run because the Timberwolves are a buzzsaw, the Thunder are doing really well, and even the injured Luka-led Mavs are still putting up really consistent numbers. So I do think that it would have been very hard to get a conference finals appearance, but you got to give yourself a chance. Stay healthy. Continuity is also a very big key for this upcoming offseason. If you can retain, if you can re-sign Malik Monk, do so. But if you can't, I think that a Buddy Hield reunion could be on the table. The Golden State Warriors. Oh boy. I don't think that anyone that is a fan of this team is happy with how the roster is constructed currently and their future. You have two avenues, in my view. You could go all in, trade, sign and trade, whatever you can to assemble a competent team around Steph Curry while he is still a viable number one option in the league. Or you could rest on your laurels, appreciate the fact that 40% of the last decade you have been a champion, and ride off into the sunset with Clay, Dre, and Steph Curry. There is a secret third option in which you kind of just retool. You let go of Clay and Draymond Green. You allow them to seek other opportunities, and then you increase the roles of Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. And hopefully you could also trade the Andrew Wiggins contract. I was a big believer in Andrew Wiggins. I actually thought that he should have been the Finals MVP that year that they won the championship against the Celtics. But now it has become a negative asset. If there is a team out there that is willing to give up anything, second round pick, a late protected, like a top 20 protected first round pick, you need to do it just to get it off of the books. The go all in option is admittedly very difficult to pull off, but I do think that there is a way that you could team up Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. Admittedly, I am not a cap guy. I don't know about trade exceptions and the money that's at stake. I don't know how Kevin Durant specifically could be there. I do know, however, you could do a sign and trade with the Lakers involving Klay Thompson to get LeBron James. Outside of the 2004 Lakers, where they had Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton, I don't know if we've ever seen an old man super team, but if there's ever going to be a year for it, it might as well be this upcoming year. The Houston Rockets have one of the brighter futures in the NBA, and I think at this point you need to stay the course. Jalen Green has made tremendous leaps, not only as a scorer but as a playmaker. Alperen Sengun is obviously the engine, the elbow hub that you're going to run your offense through. He has taken extreme strides as well, and having Steven Adams there, even though he's hurt currently, I think will allow Alperen Sengun to evolve as a rebounder and a defender, not to mention the fact that you have Jabari Smith Jr. and Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore to round out your roster. I think that Cam Whitmore is going to be an absolute superstar. He does not like to pass the ball at this current moment. So right now he's more of a microwave guy, more like a come off the bench, Jordan Clarkson, Malik Monk, get you a bucket type guy. But with the evolution of this team, being surrounded by good, competent defenders, I think that he could take the next leap in being a reliable, probably not a first option, but a second option defender. And lastly, Jabari Smith Jr. I view him as a future Michael Porter Jr. in the league. Someone who's an absolute flamethrower. You kick it out to him, it's automatic. His next evolution as a player needs to be on the defensive end. If he can become a competent, lockdown wing defender, this team is going to be problems for the rest of the league. The Utah Jazz. As a Celtics fan myself, I find it very enjoyable to watch Danny Ainge from afar trade everything he has for more draft assets, even if they never turn out to be anything. And as the team is currently constructed, I don't see a very bright future in hand. Save Lauri Markkanen and the defensive potential that Colin Sexton has, I don't see an outright superstar on this team. So I think that you need to sell the farm and, again, continue to gather those assets so eventually you can get that superstar in a draft, or using those assets to get a superstar that is disgruntled on the market. The Memphis Grizzlies, you have to pretend like last year just didn't happen. For you, it was a lost year, it was a snap year, Thanos came through, deleted the whole season. Just forget about it, because Ja obviously had those 25 games that he couldn't play because of his suspension, and then he played 5 or 6 games and then immediately got hurt, so there was ever so slightly the smallest chance of hope in your season, and then it got flushed down the toilet. Now, the improvements of guys like Gigi Jackson and Desmond Bane, and even some more underrated role players like Scottie Pippen Jr., and especially, most importantly, the continued defensive acumen of Jaren Jackson Jr. has been such a sight for sore eyes for this team. So now when Ja Morant comes back and he's fully healthy and he's had the opportunity to recover, you can take this season head on. I honestly believe, because of the other improvements of players around him, Ja could potentially go on an MVP caliber run. From a roster construction standpoint, I think that there is really one thing that could help you go to the next level, and that's getting Nicholas Claxton from the Brooklyn Nets. Pairing him next to Jaren Jackson Jr. would significantly help your rebounding department. Despite the fact that Jaren is 7 feet tall, he does not rebound well for his position. So if you could put Nicholas Claxton at the 5 and put Jared as the stretch 4, I think that could open up the offense for Ja Morant and Desmond Bane as well. The San Antonio Spurs, arguably the brightest future in all the association because of the absolute alien that you have on your roster, Victor Wembanyama. So what's next? You're not going to compete for a championship despite how good Vic is going to be. So what do you do with him? I think that you need to lean into Point Wemby. The league has shifted so many times throughout the last couple of years. We are at a position now where the big man is more important than ever. Not this like brooding force like a Shaquille O'Neal, but having a center who you can run an offense through. Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, Alperen Sengun, even guys like Wendell Carter Jr. and Jared Allen are getting in on the mix, and Victor Wembanyama is the next step in that evolution. He can't do it alone, obviously, so the biggest trade connection that has been thrown around in this offseason is Trae Young could be paired up with Victor Wembanyama, and obviously I love that trade. I'm a big fan of Trae. I think that him and Wemby could do similar things to what SGA and Chet are doing this year, but there are going to have to be other changes as well. You need to get better role players, you need to get deeper talent, and with all due respect to everyone on the San Antonio Spurs roster, you're obviously better than I am, but you're not suited to fit Vic at this point in his career. And if there's any chance that you can get a veteran role player to come in and mentor him on different aspects of the game, it's only going to make your future brighter. So again, pair Trae and Victor Wembanyama up with good veteran talent. If the Trae Young trade does not happen, I think that you need to make the next best step as far as a point guard is concerned, and you get Tyus Jones. I know that you have Trae Jones. You could keep both of them on the roster, but I think we can all admit that Tyus Jones is the better point guard at this stage in both of their careers. The Blazers. I, unfortunately, do not have a whole lot of good things to suggest for you. There is a lot of turmoil right now within the organization. As I'm recording this today, the news came out that there is a chance that Chauncey Billups is no longer the head coach there. He may seek greener pastures. So how do we combat this? How do we recover? In my personal opinion, there is nobody on this roster worth keeping or developing, with the exception of Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, and maybe Shaedon Sharpe. Because if you look at the way that the roster is constructed, there just is a bunch of misfit toys. Nobody actually works together, and a lot of it is redundant. You didn't need to give Jeremy Grant that big of a contract, and I know that it was given to him with the impression that Damian Lillard was going to stay in Portland, but since that did not happen, you need to kick it out to somebody else. Make him somebody else's problem. Jeremy Grant is a great player. He doesn't need to get paid that much for you for a dwindling team that is not going to compete for a championship next year. Maybe won't even compete for a playoff spot or a play-in spot. So you need to ship him off to whoever will take him. And I know that he did better than what we all expected the last 25 games or so, but I just don't think that DeAndre Ayton is the type of center that you need in this league today. If this was 2010, if this was 2013 even, he could be an absolute menace. He could be one of the more dominant centers in all of the league. But if he does not progress on the playmaking level, or if he does not develop a reliable three-point shot, he doesn't belong in your offense. So pack it in, trust the process with Scoot, Anthony, and Shaedon Sharpe, and hope that you get some sort of gem in all of the draft classes coming up. That's all I have today. If this is one of your teams and you're in one of these situations, I want you to tell me in the comments how you would fix the problem. What do you want to see from your own team? And if any of these things happen, are you going to be disappointed? Are you going to be happy? What's the situation? Outside of that, you can check me out on all my socials: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. I got a blog that I write on. We have a Discord that we're starting to build a really solid community in. So I'm going to link all of those in my description down below. Make sure you check those out. And most importantly, tell somebody you love them. Now that I've covered both the Eastern and the Western Conference teams that did not make the playoffs, in a couple of days, maybe a week, I don't know, I haven't even recorded that video yet, I'm going to break down all of the teams that didn't win the championship, what they need to do next. So if one of those teams is your team, make sure you stick around for that. Subscribe, hit the post notifications to make sure you get that video. And outside of that, just check my other stuff. Check my other videos on this page. I'm starting to really enjoy, again, the process of long form content. So hopefully there's going to be more videos like this in the future.